Good afternoon, folks, and we've got another pre-game Sticks in the Six podcast, episode 197, with the Leafs taking on the Florida Panthers in Game 2 of their second-round series tonight. As always, I'm your host, Andrew Forbes, here with my co-host, Peter Barricchini. And Peter, we got a lot of Leaf talk to talk about, a lot of upset fans in Leafs Nation, a lot of upset fans around the greater Toronto area. But before we get into all that, how you doing this week, buddy?
It's going good. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of highs, a lot of lows of Leafs Nation. I before we get going, it's been a while since I've actually gone to multiple concerts, and I just came back for my second one last week or this past week. So you know what? I'm still in full on concert mode right now. I'm going to the live music, the live venues, and you know what? I remember, it's just as how I remembered it pre-COVID, because I only went to one show. Last year, that was the first one. Now I'm already at two, and I'm probably going to go to a third one. So really excited for that. Gotta love the live music, right? As we've seen with Alex touring right now. So hopefully he could be one of my next stops anytime he's back in TO.
The music vibe is certainly alive. I'm going to tell you, the last couple of days have been tough here at the Forbes household. Obviously, we've got two young kids. My son's going to be 5 actually in a week and a half. My daughter is 2, and we have 3 family pets. We've had them long before we had kids, and we had 2 cats, a brother and a sister from the same litter, and our little French bulldog, who was an Instagram superstar before we started this podcast and had kids. So we've always had fun with it. My wife's a big animal person, and I've gotten there. The last couple of days it's been tough. Our female cat, she's been going through some stuff, and took her to the vet, and basically was told that she's likely got a week left, probably not even that long. So on top of the loss of somebody an animal that's been around for quite some time, there's that conversation now that with 2 young kids about death and what happens and why it's happening, and why Sophie
happens.
might not be back after she goes to see the vet. And so it's been a tough couple of days. It's been stressful. It's it's a conversation that's so difficult to have when they're not, my son understands a lot more than my daughter right now, obviously with the age difference. But yeah, it's been a tough go. And then of course the stress levels there, the stress levels of putting together a 5-year-old's birthday party, and then on top of that, the stress levels of watching the Toronto Maple Leafs go up against the Florida Panthers without Anthony Stolarz in the lineup, which we'll get to in a little bit. But so anyways,
kids are very perceptive, and they're very aware of everything, even at a young age. They know something's going on, and at least there's that aspect to their knowledge of what's going on too. And even so, pets are part of the family. It's always tough to say goodbye, and it's always rough. So
absolutely. Yeah, I know my daughter's been way off today. Her personality's just been way off. I know she can feel something's coming. But anyways, before we get into all hockey talk, if you're tuning in right now, make sure you hit subscribe on the YouTube channel. Let's hit that 200 mark before the playoffs are done. We're sitting at 181. We'd love to get to 200 subscribers.
Yes.
Anyways, lots to talk about when it comes to playoff hockey. Before we get to all of that, there's some league news going on here as well. So today, the Tampa Bay Lightning extended their not as well-known backup goaltender, Jonas Johansson, to a 2-year extension worth 1.25 AAV. Of course, we know the state of Florida is a tax-free state, so he'll see a little bit more money in his pocket than, say, if somebody in Toronto were to sign for that same dollar amount. So nice signing for Jonas Johansson, who's probably not played that many games over the last couple of seasons. Eric Staal, former great that traveled around the league a little bit, was a little bit of a journeyman in the tail end of his career. Big Carolina Panthers star in his early career. He is signed with the Buffalo Sabres as a special assistant to the general manager. So as much as we love to see guys come out of hockey, get back into hockey in a managerial role, it would be huge if the Sabres could put some money into that team on the ice and maybe make themselves worthy of an Atlantic Division spot at some point over the next few seasons. Um, anyways, we knew kind of a couple weeks ago that it was going to be the Utah, no longer the Utah Hockey Club, the Utah Mammoth. I personally love the logo. I think it's a
Yeah,
fantastic logo. Their secondary logo is great. Their tertiary logo's great. And on top of that, their away jerseys, they're going to keep that Utah diagonal cross on their white jerseys, which I think is a
that's a
great
good
ode
touch.
to
Hmm.
the original colors and jersey. So Utah Mammoth, what are your thoughts on Utah Mammoth?
I think it was either going to come down to Mammoth or Outlaws. Anything else, I think, just didn't quite fit the mold. I know they were looking at Yeti, but Yeti, Bigfoot in Utah. I don't know if that made any sense or whatever. But at least with the Mammoth, the ice, the mountains, everything like that. I love the play on words with the Ice Age because now you got like Manny from Ice Age as well as your primary main character. So now everyone is looking at Sid the Sloth right now as a team to probably make that the trifecta, if you will, from the Ice Age franchise. But all in all, I really loved it. I think it fits great. I think the color. We talked about the color scheme the first iteration. It was absolutely fantastic. I love the light blue. I love the black. Love the white. And I think the way that they incorporated that same color scheme into the logo really fits well. So, love the name. Still a big fan of the logo itself right now, even the classic one with Utah going on a diagonal. But yeah, good start for the Mammoth this time around.
After seeing like Gritty come out as like one of the most recent um, newer
Mascots.
mascots in the
Yeah.
league. I can't wait to see what the Mammoth come up
Ooh.
with, but it'll be a fun thing to watch for. Yeah, like I said, I personally love it. I think a Logan Cooley Utah Mammoth jersey would look
Mm-hmm.
sick on this wall behind me.
Oh yeah.
So maybe someday we'll see. Nice, it fits in with the blue. Anyways, we got the
Yeah.
Leafs, we got the Blue Jays behind me, so it fits in with the blue. But
I
anyways,
expect them to probably have a Ray Romano Ice Age night. I think you would be dropping the ball there if you're marketing to try and make that connection. So
yeah,
hopefully,
yeah.
Utah's marketing, you better do something about Ray Romano / Ice Age night.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Anyways, the Leafs did get into the news outside of the first round or the second round matchup they've had with the Florida Panthers. They went out and signed current OHL London Knight Landon Sim. He's the longest tenured London Knight at the moment on the team. To a minor league deal. He'll join the Toronto Marlies at some point. I think it's a great signing. The guy
Mm-hmm.
plays tough. If you watched any London Knights this season, any OHL, he does find a way to teeter that line a little bit, and it's not a terrible thing. But he's definitely a guy that's going to go out there and leave it all on the ice. So I think that's a great signing for the Toronto Maple Leafs to add to their pipeline.
Considering that there's the whole entire talk about Ryan Reeves, how he plays with that physical edge, he's that enforcer type player, but the lack of offense, at least you get a little bit of that with Sim, where he is a pest. He is a guy that'll get under your skin. And I've seen countless London Knights games because we watch a lot with, Easton Cowan last year, scouting Sam Dickinson the year before that with Cowan and Barkey as well. Um, Sim is a guy that wears everything on his sleeve. Like he's a very heart and soul kind of player. He lays it out on the line. Again, he does teeter that line, but as you can see in the playoffs, you need those kind of players that can, mix it up every now and then, but still have a little bit of some offensive flair. And he's doing that right now in the playoffs. I believe he has like 9 goals in the postseason, 53 in the regular season, so just under a point per game. Had a letter for London. So, good character guy, fourth liner that you could probably add in there and a guy that could, play meaningful minutes in that spot and be a force down the line and just mix it up every now and then.
Yeah, we've talked about it countless times on this podcast. The London Knights like to value their add value to their older players. Obviously, Landon Sims is a guy that's been there for 4 seasons. This is his 4th season, as you mentioned. He wore an A this year. 50 first 30 goal season, 53 points in 54 games, 105 penalty minutes, and so far in the playoffs, 11 points in 12 games, including 9 goals, 7 in his last 10 games, and certainly helping the London Knights to the OHL Championship Series as well. So, yeah, good signing, low risk. Yeah, I like to see it, and of course, the Toronto Maple Leaf London Knight connection continues to roll on. Last thing before we get to the Leafs second round series with the Florida Panthers, and of course we got a lot to talk about there. We made all of our predictions aside from one series because it wasn't determined yet. Two crazy game sevens. And Mikko Rantanen literally put the Dallas Stars
on his back.
Yeah. First player in NHL history to have a third period hat trick in game 7 of the postseason. He beats his former club, knocks them out. We've got Nathan McKinnon going over the World Championship now alongside Fleury and Sidney Crosby. So look out, because Canada is going to be a force to be reckoned with over there. But that's besides the point. Mikko Rantanen puts the team on his back. Wyatt Johnson comes up again as well. He's a big piece for that Dallas club, especially with the injuries they've had, that the players they haven't had in the lineup. And then, of course, the Winnipeg Jets. And I mentioned it 100 times this season. At the beginning of the year, September 28th, I took a futures out on the Winnipeg Jets to win the Cup. On a whim. $10, 27 times your money. I'm sitting here looking at the Winnipeg Jets. Now, in November, I took a futures out on the Dallas Stars too. So one of those bets is not going to make it. But it's going to be a hell of a series. I think Winnipeg faced the criticisms they need to face in round 1, not getting it done on the road. St. Louis really gave them a run for their money. Obviously, Mark Scheifele is still a question mark at this point. We'll see where that goes, but that's a huge loss for the Winnipeg Jets. I'll throw my prediction out right now. I think the Dallas Stars take it in 6. I just think that offense plus Jake Ottinger in net is just going to be way too much for this Winnipeg Jets team. Big shout out to the Jets who are making it to the second round, but it's going to be a tough one for them in the second round. So I say Dallas in 6. What do you got, Peter?
Yeah, I have Dallas in 7 too. Not only that too, Scheifele is skating, so he is on the verge back, but I believe they still got some key players out. But Dallas potentially getting back Jason Robertson and Miro Heiskanen, which I thought would have been the deciding blow for them against Colorado. Your top defender's still out, one of your top forwards out. Thought that was a good chance for Colorado to just stick it to them and eliminate them. Obviously, like you mentioned, Mikko Rantanen carried the team on his back. I still don't have faith in Connor Hellebuck at this point. And funny story, I was at that concert on Sunday, and we're keeping tabs with the score, and it's like 3-2 St. Louis. So with 3 seconds left, we're like, oh, here we go. They're going to get eliminated. And as we see the clock hit 0, 3-3. So we're like, what the hell just happened here? Yeah. And then Adam Lowry with the game-winning goal in double T. Again, fantastic for the Jets to find a way to pull through and win it. But seeing Connor Hellebuck in that series is a reason why I don't have them going far because of playoff Hellebuck. He's letting some weak goals. I think that's going to be a big issue for him. And with the firepower that Dallas has, I think it's going to be a little bit more. He's going to get a lot more shots and a lot more chances against than he did against St. Louis. And I think Dallas is going to be a big problem for him.
Yeah, I was going to say Hellebuck's had that issue with big moment games, right? Mm-hmm. Like you go back to the Four Nations face-off.
We've seen it with the Leafs too. So
yeah, go back to seasons and seasons of first round play and just not being able to get it done. But there is a part of me that wonders, now that you've got through the first round, now that you kind of got that monkey off your back, if maybe Hellebuck can turn it around and say, like, I battled through some controversy and I was able to get it done, and the team was able to do it in front of me. But obviously they're still missing Nicky Ehlers as well, and then Scheifele as we've mentioned. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting series. I think it's gonna be a physical series. I think they're gonna beat the crap out of each other. There's gonna be a lot of high octane offense, especially with Jason Robertson coming back and possibly Mark Scheifele. Who knows when his return date is? But it's going to be some high octane offense, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So, but I do see Dallas coming out, and what a run it would be for Dallas to maybe make that final go up. Who knows what's going to happen in the other West series, but obviously Edmonton up 1-0, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So that's it. There's our predictions for the second round. It'll be interesting to see where we lie. Neither one of us had a really good first round.
Well, my
This is the
bracket's already done. I had Colorado winning it all, so I'm basically out of it at this point.
Yeah, this is the first time in a long time that I haven't really had a good first round, and it's showing in all my
Same.
playoff pools, which kind of sucks. But
Yeah.
anyways, that said, we do have a lot to talk about when it comes to our Maple Leafs in the first or the second round for them as well. I think we'd be crazy not to start it off with the Stolarz injury. Obviously, tonight it's Joseph Wall getting the start. Matt Murray in Stolarz's stall in the dressing room right now. He will back up for I'm drawing a blank here. He will back up for Joseph Wall. I don't know why I'm having issues there. Anyways, we got to talk about the injury because a lot of people are focusing on the original slap shot in the first period that knocked his helmet off. He did give the little head shake. There's a doctor that's working with the CTE program at BU that did mention that head shake is a response to head trauma. That the original head trauma could have come from the slap shot that knocked his helmet off. That said, I think the conversation, the frustration that's coming from it, and you can see it. I send out those figures, those little AI figures every game, and then you can see it in the title. The Mad Max going to today. So, but you can see it in the title here, the hunt for Sam Bennett, and the issue here, and I'll go off of what Paul Maurice said. We've seen every hit that Sam Bennett has made over his entire career since minor posted to the internet over the last couple of days, determining what's a clean hit and what's not. The issue is that when you play on the edge, when you play teetering that line, you are opening yourself up to criticism, regardless of if it's a clean hit, regardless of if it's not. You have opened yourself up to criticism. Now, we go back to the little hand punch kind of hit to Marchand's face last season. We go back to the Nyes takedown, like the whatever you want to call it.
Punch to the back of the head when he's down anyways.
Yeah, but even the wrapping his arms around his head and basically slew footing him from behind. Yeah. I mean, the whole sequence, again, I've got to look back, but I don't believe there was a minor even called on that.
Nope. Nothing.
And that concussed him. Marchand was concussed. And now you've got Stolarz, albeit a softer forearm to the side of the head, but we talked about it. That part of the head is open to sustain so much more injury. It's a softer tissue. It's the fact that there was no minor. There was a referee standing right there. We go back to the Max Domi cross-check in the first period. That, like, if you call that cross-checking, you might as well fucking sit every player for everything.
Mini skirmish after a whistle.
Everything. If you touch somebody with your shoulder, you better sit them for a penalty, because that was the worst call I've seen all playoffs long. Was that Max Domi cross-check.
It was embarrassing.
And you go now to the relationship that you have within the Florida Panthers room. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. We've talked about this before. I don't sit here and think up all these conspiracies. They are presented to us on social media, which is the beautiful thing about social media. But Colin Campbell, obviously in the league's head office, still in the league's head office. There were always issues when calls were being made from head office to when Gregory Campbell was playing. Now, Gregory Campbell is the assistant general manager of the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, if you think
Colin
that
Campbell is in the
NHL's
is in the NHL's head office. The fact that these calls, I mean, we've watched playoff hockey for how long? I'm going to be 37. I've watched playoff hockey for a very long time.
Yep.
The way that things are called in playoffs is much different than the way things are called in the regular season. If you're going to call that Max Domi shove in the forearm of Brad Marchand a penalty,
not even that. I would consider that just like a little tap, like a little nudge even.
Yeah, you have look yourself in the mirror, because that is by far some of the worst officiating I've seen has been in this playoffs, and that exemplified exactly what we're talking about. That, along with the fact that there was a referee standing right there, and Paul Maurice even acknowledged that. There was a referee standing right over top of that play with Stolarz. Not a single call, not a 2-minute minor. And friend of the show, Jay Rosehill, did tweet that, he thought it shouldn't be a suspension, it should be a 2-minute minor. There wasn't even a 2-minute minor.
That's the sad part.
And at that point, when it's not called on the ice, that's when the Department of Player Safety should step in and say, you know what, 1 game. Simply because there was no penalized,
they did that with Aaron Ekblad, basically clotheslining Brandon Hagel. So why aren't they doing that right now? And this is why, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but this is why this is completely embarrassing from the NHL standpoint. Because not only did you basically, again, like I said, you turned a blind eye, and they also turned a blind eye to Matthew Tkachuk, basically trying to take swings at Mitch Marner at the end of the game.
Slew foot, and a cross check to the lower back.
Slash, everything, you name it. He did 3 things in 1 instance at the end of the game. That's absolutely despicable. So not only that, you turned a blind eye. You didn't protect Anthony Stolarz. Chris Rooney, who was in front of the net at that point, didn't protect Anthony Stolarz, and the NHL is not protecting Anthony Stolarz right now. So at what point is why even bother have a player safety anymore? If George Peros is just going to blindly pick and choose what he wants to deem suspendable or take a look at, I mean, to be honest, whether you want to debate if it's an elbow or forearm or what have you, he hit a goaltender while he was in his crease. That's his space. He hit him while he was powering through. And it was very subtle, but you kind of knew what he was doing. You saw him. I've looked at it multiple times. As soon as he lost control of that puck, that's when he said, screw it, and then his forearm just bowled into Stolarz's head. To me, that was at the point where you knew what he was doing at that point. He lost the handle, and he just said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to do something. And he did. And it ended up costing him, basically one of that main system of, a concussion is puking, throwing up. And I do agree in a sense that maybe that slap shot was the one that led up to it, because he did shake it off. He did look a little bit woozy. I think that Bennett hit was the one that did it in, because we've seen goalies take slap shots and pucks in a helmet so many times before. I think that one may have surprised him, but it probably could have impacted it. But if you're thinking that, Sam Bennett's innocent in all this, don't kid yourself. He hit him in the head regardless. Well, don't try and sugarcoat that.
And he doubled down after he was finally made available to media today.
A day later.
He doubled down on it, saying that, I reached out to Stoley. I made sure he was okay, former teammate, and just let him know, I'm just trying to play my game. I'm so confused here. I'm so confused where anybody can sit there and defend what's going on.
Yeah.
This is exactly why George Peros might be the most incompetent piece of shit at the NHL head office. Like, he is so incompetent. The inconsistency within the Department of Player Safety is mind blowing. Like, and this is not just a Leaf. This is not just a Leaf focal point. Go back to the Montreal Washington series,
league-wide,
where 2 cross checks to the mouth of smaller players. Nothing's called. No suspension. And you've got, what are you opening the door for? Mm-hmm. Right? This is the part that's so frustrating, is that, the average fan's going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, Leaf fans just complaining about Leaf stuff again. Well, it's not. And
there were a lot of NHL fans in the playoffs complaining about other things, not just us.
And that's what I'm saying. So I'm looking forward to, if anybody has that opinion, by all means comment, because the next time one of your star players gets popped right in the mouth with an elbow, I'm going to write you back and say, go fuck yourself. Because this is a league-wide issue. Officiating has been awful for the last at least 5 seasons, and there's been no fix. And we've said it time after time after time. Make the officials available after the game for a 5-minute post-game press conference so they can answer the bell on some of this stupid shit that goes on the ice. Because until you do that, you're going to have the same issues happening over and over again. You're going to have the same non-calls. And get Colin Campbell out of the head office, or tell Gregory Campbell that he's not working in the front office of any team until his dad's not working for the league. Because to me, that's bullshit.
Conflict of interest right there, I think. And also, I made it a point yesterday, too, that the NHL should suspend Bennett. But I think right now you got to suspend officials. Let's not kid ourselves. It was Graham Skilliter and Chris Rooney. And we know the history that they have when they officiate a Leaf game, how it doesn't end well, and look what happens.
Keep a
I think
count.
that,
Keep a
yeah,
count. How many missed calls did you have? Go back to the
yeah,
2-minute rule that they do in the NBA. The one thing the NBA is good for is they hold their referees accountable at the end of every game.
and
Do a
that's
2-minute call or a
yeah,
2-minute thing and say, you know what? The last week you've missed 15 calls. That's a 1-game suspension. You're losing pay.
yeah. I think that I think we're at that point right now because if you're going to call Max Domi just getting up in Brad Marchand's grill, which we've seen, I've done time and time again in select level and didn't even get penalized for that. If they penalize that at the NHL level and they let a blatant forearm headshot slash elbow headshot to a goaltender that was unsuspecting it while he's focusing in on the puck, you allow that as opposed to just getting up in someone's face. What are you doing here? You're not even following the rule book. Like, you're just doing what you want. You're making it about yourself, and that is absolutely despicable. And every single official should have like you. I think that you should be made accountable. That if you have so many missed calls or calls that literally don't go like follow along with the rule book, you get suspended for 1 game, lose your pay, get demoted. I don't care. I don't care because this is now at a point now where it's getting ridiculous. And if you're going to allow players to do that, like they even allowed that shot of Ekblad on Hagel again. I keep going back to that one because it's the same one. It was unpenalized, but you suspend Ekblad for that, but you're not going to suspend Bennett for using your forearm when Stolarz was not even expecting it and it was on his blind side too. He wasn't even seeing that coming.
It creates accountability, right?
Yeah.
The second you lose, what do refs make per game? A few thousand?
Yeah.
Right? Like, whatever it is. Regardless. You penalize them that and take away that money, all of a sudden you're creating accountability because these guys aren't going to fuck around too much with their money.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you that right now. So you do that and you create accountability. All of a sudden you've got some more competent people on the ice with these players. All of a sudden you're protecting these players a little bit better like you should be in the first place. All of a sudden, maybe the NHL starts to focus on the fact that there is CTE existent in the game and they've got to do a better job of protecting these guys instead of having a starting goaltender of a round 2 playoff team of one of the biggest hockey cities in the league sitting there puking on the bench. Right? And excuse my passion and language for this, but like this is utter bullshit that this continues to happen.
Yeah.
And it's the same conversation we've had time and time again.
We've been doing this podcast for like, 4 or 5 years now, and this is the same topic coming up every single time there's a really bad play, whether it's the Maple Leafs or another game.
Yep.
Like, I mean, I just can't fathom that you could literally you could get a penalty just for like going up right up to somebody and just bumping into them, and a headshot is nothing. What is wrong with this league? And Gary Bettman still has the audacity to stand by his officials and say, "Oh, we got some of the best officials in the league." Bullshit, you do.
Not only that, but like sitting there, like talk to Alan Walsh or anybody that is all about the CT that exists in the game and the clients they've lost and whatever else. Mm-hmm. The fact that it's still being denied in this league that there's a correlation is mind blowing.
Yeah,
it's absolutely mind blowing.
He still doesn't believe the science. Meanwhile, there's ample evidence, not just in hockey, but football, even other sports where it's not even a major contact level, like even soccer, I think. There's still something where if you hit your head regardless, it's going to have a profound impact. Like, I don't understand why the denial of science is such a big thing right now, but Jesus, people, it's right there.
Yeah.
These are people that have like studied this stuff a long time for like years and years and years. And you're just going to turn that blind eye? Okay, well then what's the point of getting medical advice then?
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. Anyways, just some quick breaking news here. This is kind of crazy to think about. So Luke Misa, brother of potential number 1 pick in the 2025 draft, Michael Misa, and Flames first round pick, has committed to Penn State. We already knew that. Mm-hmm. But additionally, Penn State has an NIL offer north of $250,000 for Porter Martone to join Penn State University as well. So, man, this NIL stuff is getting crazy. Mm-hmm. This NCAA, OHL, CHL, all that, it's getting nuts. But we'll see what happens with Porter Martone. Anyways, to continue with the Leaf Panther stuff, we talked a little bit about Ekblad here. He will return tonight from his 2-game suspension. So, additionally, on top of the Leafs losing Stolarz, they now have to go up against another solid defenseman in Aaron Ekblad. So that'll be a potential impact difference in this series as well. I don't really want to break that down too much. There's nothing really to talk about aside from the fact that he's gonna have an impact on the game.
Let's just say that the Maple Leafs needed to get that first game with Ekblad out because now you have confidence in that him coming in shouldn't deter that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they were down one of their top pairing defenders, but at the same time, you played a solid first game for a majority of that point. I know you're going to expect to bounce back from Florida, but that was a very, very solid outing, and they took advantage of that.
Yeah.
Just keep the pressure on. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Normally I'm a big Sid Sixero fan. There's one thing after Stolarz was run over that he noted that nobody stood up for Stolarz, and I want to bring that up because there's this question of how the Leafs are going to respond in game 2. I said sit Pontus Holmberg, bring in Ryan Reeves, and have them just fucking knock some people out. Like that's my response. And really,
I think that's a lot of people's response out there to this point.
Well, I mean, with what you're going to get from Pontus Holmberg, and really Pontus Holmberg took a hell of a hit the other night too. Like he could probably use the day off. Why would you not throw Ryan Reeves in the lineup and just have him start the game? Like he'd be on my first shift. He'd be on my first shift.
Line him up right beside Benny.
And then, regardless, Sid Sixero came out with why did nobody responded. I want to go over that for a second because at the time the Leafs were up 4-1. Okay, we had seen the penalty that Max Domi got for the cross check. We saw the fact that Sam Bennett wasn't getting a penalty. My question back to Sid Sixero is why the fuck would they respond?
Yeah, at that point, it did. As much as I would love to have seen a response, as much as I would have loved to have seen Domi pop Bennett one, it would have changed the tide of the game. It 100% would have because Florida was already mounting a comeback, and if he took a penalty and he gets ejected for doing something stupid, you're out him, you're out Stolarz, down one forward. You had the game right where you wanted, and then that third period comeback really put the Maple Leafs on their heels, and they responded very well. But at that point, you're there to try and win the game. I would likely better send that message tonight to say, hey, we're not going to forget that. And when you're up with that kind of a lead, and I agree with the way the officiating was being called at that point, you would have gotten booked.
You can't. Yeah, you can't respond.
As much as I hate to say that, you just got to truck through, power through, and play the game. And luckily it did work out because, there was that great chip up play, and then Matthew Knight just absolutely undresses Bobrovsky in all alone. I really think that that's how the Maple Leafs should have responded. Go out there, get a goal, get a lead back, and push them back and, weather the storm of their pushback. Yeah, I hate that Sam Bennett scored off a really, really fluky bounce, but I'm not going to lose sleep over that because they got the win. But if they did do anything, especially Domi, you could rest assured that they were probably itching to call something on him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I think at that point in the game where you were at, game 1, you gotta sit back and be disciplined. And the Leafs did play discipline most of game 1. Mm-hmm. It's part of what made them successful was that they sat back. They took 3. They had 3 penalty kills versus the 5 against the Panthers. And unfortunately, the Leafs weren't able to capitalize on those 5 power plays. But I think coming from game 1. Outside of bringing speed and agility in that first period, which gave you that initial burst of a 3-1 lead after 20 minutes, I think that the fact that the Leafs were able to kind of force the Panthers to play off their game and get frustrated and start to take questionable penalties, and the fact that the Leafs didn't respond and they played discipline is part of what made them successful. So in saying that, how do the Leafs come back? Because one of the things that has been focused on is post-Stolarz injury. How do you make them pay? One of the quotes was, you go out and win game 2. and you
Yeah.
have guys like Pacioretty in the lineup,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to hit hard. You've got other guys in the lineup, McCabe, Tanev, they're going to hit hard. So, taking from what made them successful in game one, what do you bring to game two, Peter, that will make them successful the second time around?
Yeah, as much as I do want to see them go after Bennett and make their presence felt just by him alone and either dropping the gloves, answering the bell, do whatever, I do agree. I think you got to match with the way that you've played in game one to start game two. Play with speed. And you know what? Like you said, I don't understand how they only had 21 hits. I thought they had more and kept up with Florida. There's no way I'm going to believe that hit stat where they had plus 30 advantage. Toronto definitely held their own against Florida, and they laid some heavy hits. There was McCabe on Kulikov. I think there was Pacioretty in the corner as well. There were a couple big ones that Pacioretty had. And I think that combined with Domi, combined with Benoit, combined with Pacioretty and all of them, I think they're going to be an not unstoppable force offensively, but I think they're going to lay that boom and let them know, hey, people don't forget. We may not fight you, but we're still going to throw everything we've got at you. And I think matching that physicality is going to be huge because you know how Florida gets it on the forecheck. You know how they like to hit. I think that Toronto's definitely well equipped or have the players to at least match that and do that themselves this time around. Overall, like aside from the physical battle, they did a good job for the most part keeping them to the outside. And that was initially their game plan against Ottawa. Don't let them get to the middle of the ice because that's what they want to do. And when you force them to the outside and you block plays, get into the lanes, it foils them. And it basically leads counterattacks and counter rushes going the other way. I think the third goal, it was off a breakup play. And then, it was in the Maple Leaf zone. Nylander and Riley go the other way. It's a 2-on-1. Riley likes to shoot. Boom, goal. There was that breakup at the blue line with Marner and Schmidt, and then Nyes goes in all alone. Those are the kind of plays that the Toronto Maple Leafs have been successful at, and they need to keep doing that. And also, big credit to Berube for keeping them level-headed, because to let them keep that emotion intact, where they're not losing it over Bennett, even with the fact that they gave up the 2 goals early in the third period, he calls a timeout. He's just like, hey, calm down. We're in a good spot here. I can't remember the last time. I don't even think I saw that with Keefe because I think he would be laying into the team to be like, smarten up. But Berube's calm as hell, despite the demeanor and the glare that he gives when there's something that he doesn't like that makes him want to go onto the ice and lay a big hit himself. Like go back to classic Berube. He's very calm, and the fact that he has that faith in his guys to do the right thing speaks volumes. And I think the Maple Leafs are going to do just that in game 2. Again, you're going to expect a push from Florida. They don't want to go down 2-0, but if you go up 2-0 going on the road, that is a big plus for this Maple Leafs team and a big confidence boost for them heading onto the road. Because you saw what happened with Florida. I'm not expecting, another 3-0 start, but you give yourself any advantage that you can.
So you've changed my mind. I want Berube to suit it up now and put some skates on, get out there for game 2 and knock the shit out of Sam Bennett. I think that's where I'm going with this one. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think the game came to them, right? And they allowed, like you said, they stayed calm. He called the timeout at the perfect moment.
It was the perfect time.
And we saw it last series too when Berube told Mark Savard, every goal just calm down, right?
I don't even think you need to tell him. He just looked at it and be like, hey, what are you doing?
Right? You're right.
Like,
it was just the look.
Just the look. That's all it takes.
But it's amazing how much that demeanor can change the outlook of a game, right? And to call the timeout when you did, you kind of rallied the troops. You sit them down. Hey, let's take it easy. Let's figure this out. You guys are a good team. You're going to be all right. And they were able to quickly get a goal after that, and really change the tides of the tail end of that game.
I just want to bring up one quick stat.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say real quick, Patrick, thank you for joining us today. We'll get to your comments in just 1 second. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, just looking back at the numbers, underlying numbers, like Florida had a sizable advantage in the shot attempts, but only 20 made it on goal for shots for. Toronto didn't have the quantity or the number of shot attempts, but they made theirs count with the shots on net, with the goals and everything like that. So I don't know if Florida's trying to do that Carolina Hurricane thing where they want to get that quantity and they don't care and they'll just take it from there. But the fact that very few made it on goal, and the fact that, some of them were unblocked and it went through, but actually on goal, 20 of them were actual shots.
Yeah.
So I really think that if the Maple Leafs just handle themselves a little bit better and like I said, keep everything to the outside, that's going to be a recipe for success for them. I do think that wholeheartedly, because I think I'm just going to go double check the actual shot totals itself. Okay, so it's 29-30. I was looking at that. That's on 5-on-5. I should reiterate that. But 20 shots at 5-on-5, that's not bad, especially for a team like Florida where they're getting all that kind of volume.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Again, Patrick, thank you for joining us. He says Leafs in 6 and follows that up with his prediction for tonight's game. Leafs win 3-2 tonight. Another close one, eh, Patrick? You're going to make us
really making us, giving us heart palpitations there, bud.
I don't think, I was going to say, I don't think my heart can take this anymore. But anyways, yeah.
Get that lead. Just get that lead.
Get the lead early, score often. Mm-hmm. No lead is safe in the playoffs, especially when you're a team like the Leafs playing against a team like the defending champs, the Florida Panthers.
I would say that was like the first time where they had a 4-1 lead and they actually held on to it and battled back.
Yeah.
Again, I know we say that this Maple Leafs team is different, but if this was the same Maple Leaf team last year, holy hell, that it would probably be 6-4 Florida.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I will say too, last note on the coaching, I think the Toronto media is really starting to get to Paul Maurice with the Sam Bennett questions. I've just been watching things all morning.
The crowd, are they going to get their skates?
Exactly. Yeah. So
you don't need to be very sarcastic every single time.
I don't mind it because I know that's him, and I know that he uses that to his advantage, but I can just see a little bit of the frustration boiling over. Like, I knew you guys were going to ask all about Bennett all day. Like, that's the only questions I've been getting all day. And I love that because it's like, don't let him talk about anything else. Forget what your team's going to do today. Let's talk about Bennett. And what the focus is right now is it's solely on Bennett. So I think in that sense, you get a little bit of coaching advantage as well if you're Craig Berube.
That too.
Before we keep going here, just a quick note from our sponsors over at the DraftKings Sportsbook and the Hockey Podcast Network. The NBA 82-game grind is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for all the high-stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw-dropping plays. I can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. As an official sports betting partner of the NBA, try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30 points, 40, or even more? It's your call. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Before we get to our next point, Patrick, somebody needs to fight tonight, but most important, win on the scoreboard. Patrick, I'm standing by. Yep. Put Revo in.
If you can
put Revo in,
but still manage, if you could fight at the right opportune time and still win everything on the scoreboard, that is a perfect balance right there. Yeah.
You get ahead early. Okay. You put Revo in to start the game. Set the tone. This is what we're gonna play like. Okay. Mm-hmm. You get a lead early, and then late in the third period, you have Revo just truck somebody. Could be Bennett, could be Tkachuk, could be Bobrovsky, and you take the 10-game sussy. You're not putting Revo back in the lineup,
like it, right?
You don't
want to play that revenge factor, but at some point it's going to be like, well, if you want to play dirty like that, then
You
Yeah.
want to win a Stanley Cup against a team like this that's teetering the line, that has
Hmm.
connections in NHL's head office. You're gonna have to play that way. And
Yeah.
and I hate saying it. I hate saying you want to injure somebody, but they did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And like we mentioned, Sam Bennett doubled down saying, I was just playing my game. So you know what? You put Revo out there, you let him
Let
play
him
his
play his
game.
game.
Let him
Yep.
lay a hit like he did on Darnell Nurse where he knocked his head on a swivel.
Yeah.
That's the way you're gonna have to win this series, because these guys aren't gonna sit back and watch you. Last note before we kind of close it out here. Mitch Marner becomes a dad over the last week.
Papa Marner.
Little Miles Marner, super exciting. Congratulations to the Marners,
Yes.
his wife Stephanie, and to Mitch. And we talk about this a little bit with Morgan Riley, who also became a dad this year, and obviously from my perspective, we don't like to talk about team or players' personal lives outside of the game, but it does it can be a distraction, and you can lose sleep. Maybe it's a rough pregnancy, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. There's a lot of question marks. We don't know, and we're not entitled to know. At the same point, as a fan watching the player on the ice, there were obviously Marner had a career year. He was unbelievable. And the fact that he was able to do what he did is pretty amazing, considering that there is all that outside stuff going on as well. You're still able to come to the rink every day and do your job. Now, in those last couple games in the first round series, there were some criticisms around Marner not maybe being the same player he was all season long. Of course, he's the guy under the microscope with the contract coming. But that said, I mean, how much of it do you think now he's got that dad power? He's back. His focus is, things are going okay at home. Baby's healthy, mom's healthy, everybody's healthy. We got the support system at home. We get to play at home to start this series. How much of that influences him coming back? And on top of that, Nylander obviously having a great run again this playoffs with 2 goals last game, 3 points in the first period. The core for the Fab Five, whatever the hell you want to call them. Craig Berube hates the terms, but whatever you want to call them, they're getting it done for the Leafs this playoffs, and I think that's the difference. Do you have any other take on that?
I thought Mitch Marner looked good against Ottawa. I think aside from that 5-0 game where the team had nothing going for them, it was where they got shut out 4-0. I thought that Marner's been playing relatively well to this point. He's been setting up plays. I'm even starting to see him throw the body a little bit. But yeah, I think that with Benoit with his game-winning goal, Riley with his goal, Marner with a fantastic assist on Nyes, you're starting to see that dad energy pop in right now. And obviously everyone, whenever something happens like that, ever since Fred VanVleet was a Toronto Raptors, ever since he, there was the birth of his kid during that championship run, and you saw him pop off. I think everyone is expecting all the other Maple Leaf players to do that in some essence. Hockey's a little bit tougher. It's a little bit more physical on the body than basketball is. But when you start to see Marner have a big moment like that, Riley have a big moment, Ben will have a big moment, you can't help but feel that, yeah, maybe there's this correlation between, a newborn joining joining the family and everything like that. I will say this, Mitch Marner did have a little fun comment about that. It's just like, maybe the kid's smart. He knew not to come on a game day on it as opposed to an off day. So I think that was a little good touch by him there. But yeah, it's, I don't know. There's always, like, no matter what sport you play, you always get, whenever you watch a game or you hear the news of a player becoming a parent, you always see that energy pop off, like they're doing it for them right away. And you know what? It looked like Mitch was doing that for his kid Miles. Morgan was doing it for his kid. Simon Benoit doing it for his kid. It just seemed, I don't know. It's like this weird phenomenon that everyone just gravitates to, and they believe that energy is there. So, yeah, I mean, nothing really else to say on that. Just the big dad energy is there really for all these players, and it's starting to show for William Nylander right now. I mean, aside from Anthony Stolarz, I think he's the MVP of this team right now. Mm-hmm. Showed up in big moments, that scored 2 critical goals against Ottawa in Game 7, including that empty netter. gets the ball rolling in game one, has another fantastic, not necessarily bad angle shot, but, Bobrovsky had no idea where it was. It was perfectly placed. He was in all alone, basically dangles in front of Bobrovsky as well. I mean, he's just on another level right now. And I think when he's in that zone, and the big moment where it was game 6 for Ottawa, but I think this moment right now is Florida. And I think he's going to shine every single game, because in that 5th game where, things are getting dicey, who got the ball rolling? It was Nylander. Yeah, they lost in overtime, but he took it upon himself to carry this team. And I know you're expecting Matthews to do it and Marner to do that, but let's face it, Nylander's earning the big bucks himself. He said it himself. It's why I'm here, right? He's here to perform. He's performing at a big moment, and I expect that to continue because he's a big-time gamer right now.
He's got the passion.
He does have the passion. Yeah.
Anyways,
Willie passion overload.
That's right. Anyways, lastly, before we close it out here, Peter, we started this season off after the passing of the Gaudreau brothers, talking about how for every goal, preseason, playoffs, and regular season, we were going to donate 13 cents. Obviously symbolic. To the at the time we hadn't chosen. We did mention it about a month ago or 2 months ago that we would be now giving it to the Gaudreau Fund, which is put together by the wives of both the Gaudreau brothers. So we are officially, after game 1 of the second round, we're officially up to $39.78. So again, it's not a huge amount. It's what we can afford at this time with obviously, the political and economic forecast at where it is. We do urge that if anybody is willing and able, that they match us and they help us with this donation. We'd love to send more and help with whatever we can do. We'll do it this year for the Gaudreau brothers. Who knows, next year maybe we focus on something else as well and try to give back, because having a platform that we have, we're able to do some of that, and we appreciate doing some of that. So if you are willing and you are able and you want to commit the $40 to $50 to $60 that we will be sending out, please reach out to one of us, either Peter or myself, and we'll figure out all the logistics. Outside of that, it is game day. The Leafs play tonight against the Florida Panthers in game 2 of their round 2 playoff series. Ekblad's back. Stolarz is out. Joseph Woll gets the start. And we are pumped to see what the outcome is for game 2 in Toronto. Outside of that, make sure you head over to the Hockey Podcast Network. Check out all their shows. Hit up DraftKings. THPN is the code. Check out SeatGeek for all your ticket needs. BioSteel for all your hydration needs. All those promo codes are in the description below. And make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Until next time, we leave you with Alex Hobson and his single 25. Go Leafs go.
For me